The candle on my desk is dying, its flame flickering against the heavy shadows of these oak shelves. You are here, perhaps because you have felt it too. That sudden, sharp chill in the middle of a crowded room. That realization that while your lips are moving in rhythm with the others, your mind has wandered into a wilderness they would find terrifying. It is an unsettling sensation, isn't it? To look at the world and realize that what everyone calls common sense is often nothing more than a shared hallucination. We are told from the moment we can speak that thinking is a virtue. But history and the cold mechanics of human psychology tell a much darker story. Thinking is not a virtue society actually wants. Society wants agreement. It wants the comfort of the predictable. To truly think for yourself is not a hobby. It is a dangerous act of rebellion. It is the choice to step out of the warm, suffocating light of the campfire and into the vast, freezing dark of the unknown. Tonight, we shall explore why that darkness is where your soul actually begins. There is a weight to the air in this library, much like the weight of the expectations you carry every day. Most people move through their lives wrapped in an invisible lace of consensus. They believe they are making choices, but they are merely selecting from a pre-approved menu of identities. This is the hidden problem of our age. We have traded the agony of truth for the anesthesia of belonging. When you agree with the crowd, you are rewarded with a phantom sense of safety. You are given the keys to the city, the warmth of the handshake, the nod of the neighbor. But the cost is your own reflection. Have you ever noticed how the more you agree with others, the more blurred your own features become in the mirror? We live in a world that interprets silence as consent and dissent as a malfunction. We have built an entire civilization on the fear of being the only one in the room who sees that the emperor is naked. The roots of this conformity are buried deep in the soil of our survival. For our ancestors, to be cast out of the tribe was not an intellectual inconvenience. It was a death sentence. To be alone on the savannah was to be prey. Evolution has wired your brain to treat social rejection as physical pain. When you feel that tightening in your chest, when you are about to speak a truth that will upset the group, that is your lizard brain screaming at you to stay in the cave. This is what Friedrich Nietzsche meant when he spoke of the herd. The herd, he argued, hates the exceptional man. It hates the one who creates his own values. The herd values the mediocre because mediocrity is safe. It is predictable. In the eyes of the many, the person who thinks for themselves is a threat to the collective peace. They are the glitch in the matrix that reminds everyone else that they are living in a dream. Consider the tragedy of Socrates. He did not die for a crime of violence. He died for the crime of asking questions that had no comfortable answers. He was the gadfly of Athens, stinging the lazy horse of the state into wakefulness. But the horse did not want to wake up. He wanted to sleep. We like to think we have evolved since the hemlock was poured, but we have only changed our methods of execution. Today, we don't always kill the body. We kill the reputation. We kill the career. We kill the spirit through the slow, grinding machinery of social ostracization. We use the digital coliseum to tear down those who dare to step out of the ideological line. We are still the same frightened primates, huddled together, terrified that if we stop whispering the same lies to one another, the universe will swallow us whole. The deeper truth is that we do not actually fear being wrong. We fear being alone in our rightness. Think of the psychological experiment by Solomon Asch. A group of people are asked to identify which of three lines is the longest. Everyone in the room is an actor except for one subject. The actors all choose the obviously wrong line. In the majority of cases, The subject, seeing the evidence of their own eyes, but feeling the crushing weight of the group's consensus, will eventually point to the wrong line as well. They would rather deny their own senses than be the solitary voice of reality. This is the architecture of our modern life. We are constantly being asked to point at the wrong line. We are asked to ignore our intuition, our logic, and our morality to maintain the harmony of the group. Arthur Schopenhauer, that great philosopher of pessimism, once remarked that a man can be himself only so long as he is alone. If he does not love solitude, he will not love liberty, for it is only when we are alone that we are truly free. But most people are terrified of solitude because it forces them to confront the vacuum within. They fill the silence with the noise of the world, so they don't have to hear the sound of their own thoughts. When you start to think for yourself, the noise stops. And in that silence, you realize that you have been living someone else's life. You have been wearing a mask that has started to grow into your skin. Independent thought is the surgical procedure of removing that mask. It is bloody, it is painful, and it leaves you exposed. But it is the only way to breathe. Let us look at the life of the office worker, the modern-day monk of the cubicle. Every day, they sit in meetings where everyone agrees on a strategy they know will fail. They laugh at jokes that aren't funny. They nod at platitudes that are empty. Why? Because the salary is the bribe we accept to stop thinking. We sell our intellectual sovereignty for the mortgage and the car. We tell ourselves it is a temporary compromise, but years turn into decades, and the real us we were saving for later has vanished. The tragedy of the common man is not that he fails, but that he succeeds at being someone he was never meant to be. He becomes a perfect cog in a machine that doesn't know his name. This is the reward of conformity. You get to be part of something big, but you have to disappear to do it. To think for yourself is to invite a specific kind of melancholy. It is the loneliness of the mountain climber who has reached a peak where the air is too thin for the crowd. You look down and see the villages below, glowing with warmth and companionship, and for a moment you regret your ascent. You realize that you can never truly go back. Once you see the strings on the puppets, you can never again enjoy the play. You become an alien in your own land. You hear the hidden agendas in conversations. You see the fear behind the confident proclamations of politicians and priests. You see the desperate need for validation that drives the social media frenzies. You are awake in a world of sleepwalkers, and there is no one to talk to about the dream. But there is a transformation that occurs in this isolation. When you stop looking to others to tell you what is true, you begin to develop a different kind of strength. It is the strength of the oak tree that stands alone in a field, buffeted by every wind but rooted in its own essence. You begin to discover what Marcus Aurelius called the inner citadel. This is a place within the mind that no one else can touch. It is a fortress built of logic, observation, and an uncompromising commitment to the truth. When you reside in this citadel, the opinions of others lose their power to wound you. You realize that their praise is as empty as their criticism. Both are based on a version of you that doesn't exist. You stop being a mirror for others and start being a light for yourself. This freedom is dangerous because it makes you unpredictable. You cannot be easily manipulated if you do not value what the world tells you to value. You cannot be bought if you have found something within yourself that is priceless. This makes you a problem for those who profit from your compliance. They will call you arrogant. They will call you difficult. They will call you crazy. But what they are really saying is that they can no longer control you. And there is nothing more frightening to a system of control than an individual who is self-governed. This is the masterclass of life: to move through the world, to participate in its rituals, to speak its languages, but to remain at your core, completely and utterly independent. Think of Viktor Frankl in the concentration camps. Even in the most extreme environment of forced conformity and dehumanization, he realized there was one thing that could not be taken away: the last of the human freedoms. To choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. This is the ultimate independent thought. Even when your body is in chains, your mind can remain a sovereign nation. If a man in a death camp can maintain his intellectual independence, what excuse do we have in our comfortable rooms? We are not prisoners of the state, but we are prisoners of the they. They say this is fashionable. They say this is right. They say this is the way to be happy. Who is this they that has so much power over your life? They are a ghost, a fiction, a collective shadow that vanishes the moment you stop believing in it. The journey to independent thought is not a destination. It is a daily practice of heresy. It is the willingness to be wrong. It is the courage to say, I don't know, when everyone else is pretending to be certain. It is the discipline to study the things that scare you and to listen to the people you have been told to hate. It is the refusal to let your mind become a graveyard for other people's ideas. You must become a scavenger for truth, picking through the ruins of philosophy, history, and science to find the pieces that fit your own puzzle. This is not an easy life. It is much easier to be a parrot. But a parrot only says what it has been taught. A human being is meant to speak. As the shadows grow longer in this library, I want you to ask yourself a question. If you lost everything that links you to society tomorrow, if your job, your status, your social circle, and your digital presence were wiped away, what would be left of your mind? Would there be an I there? Or would there just be an empty room filled with the echoes of other people's voices? This is the true test of independent thought. It is the substance that remains when the world stops looking. It is the gold at the bottom of the crucible after the fire has burned away the dross. Most people are terrified of that fire. They would rather stay as dross, safe and indistinguishable. But you are here because you want the fire. There is a strange beauty in this dangerous freedom. It is the beauty of a storm. It is the beauty of a jagged cliff. It is not comfortable, but it is real. When you start to think for yourself, you experience the world with a clarity that is almost painful. The colors are sharper, the stakes are higher. You feel the full weight of your own existence. You realize that you are the architect of your own meaning. This is what the existentialists meant by dread. It is the vertigo you feel when you realize there is no handrail. There is no one to catch you if you fall, and no one to tell you which way to go. But in that vertigo, there is also the thrill of flight. You are no longer a passenger in your own life. You are the pilot. And though the weather may be foul, the controls are finally in your hands. Do not expect to be thanked for your independence. Do not expect to be understood. The more you become yourself, the more you will seem like a stranger to those who are still lost in the crowd. They may even try to pull you back. They will use guilt. They will use shame. They will use the common good as a leash. But you must remember that their desire for your conformity is not an act of love. It is an act of self-preservation. Your independence reminds them of their own cowardice. Your light makes their darkness visible. Be kind to them, for they are afraid. But do not dim your light so they can sleep more soundly. The world does not need more people who are well adjusted to a sick society. It needs people who are brave enough to be healthy in the middle of a plague. The midnight hour is almost here. The books on these shelves contain the thoughts of men and women who are often hated in their own time. They were the heretics, the dreamers, the radicals, and the fools. And yet, they are the only ones we remember. The names of the people who conformed, the names of the people who shouted them down, the names of the people who followed the rules and stayed quiet. Those names have been erased by the wind. Only those who dared to think for themselves have left a mark on the stone of time. This is the ultimate irony. Society rewards the conformist in the short term, but history only rewards the individual. To be remembered, you must first be willing to be forgotten by your contemporaries. As you leave this library and step back into the world of noise, carry this dangerous freedom with you. Guard it like a flickering candle in a gale. There will be times when the coldness of the world will make you want to blow it out. There will be times when the loneliness feels like a physical ache. In those moments, remember that you are part of a secret lineage. You are part of the long, thin line of human beings who refuse to be broken. You are the descendant of the rebels, the seekers, and the silent watchers. You are never truly alone if you are in the company of your own integrity. And that integrity is the only thing you get to take with you into the final dark. The world will continue to demand your soul. It will offer you 1,000 small comforts in exchange for your silence. It will promise you a seat at the table if you only agree to eat what is served. But you know better now. You know that the table is a cage. You know that the comforts are a shroud. You have tasted the dangerous air of the heights, and the valley will never be enough again. The cost of thinking for yourself is everything, but the reward is the only thing worth having. It is the discovery of who you actually are before the world told you who you should be. The flame has gone out. The room is in total darkness. But you don't need the candle anymore, do you? You have the light of your own mind. It is a small light, perhaps, a fragile light, but it is yours. And in a world of shadows, that is the most dangerous thing of all. Walk out into the night. Do not be afraid of the silence. It is not the silence of the grave. It is the silence of the beginning. It is the silence that precedes the first true word you will ever speak. Go now. The world is waiting for you to see it as it really is. And more importantly, it is waiting for you to see yourself. Think of the silence as a canvas. Most people allow the world to scribble all over their canvas until there isn't a single inch of white left. They are a mess of contradictory slogans, borrowed opinions, and inherited prejudices. But the thinker, the true individual, protects the canvas. They are selective. They only allow the truths they have tested themselves to be painted there. They are willing to leave large parts of the canvas blank, rather than fill them with lies. This is the mark of intellectual maturity. It is the ability to live with the empty space. It is the ability to wait for a truth that is actually true, rather than grabbing the first comfortable certainty that wanders by. We are entering an era where this freedom will be more dangerous than ever. As technology learns to map our desires and predict our thoughts, the pressure to conform will become a whisper in the ear rather than a shout in the street. The algorithms will try to build a world around you that never challenges you, never offends you, and never makes you think. They will try to turn your mind into a hall of mirrors where you only see reflections of what you already believe. To think for yourself in such a world is an act of supreme sabotage. It requires you to intentionally seek out the discordant note. It requires you to break the mirrors. You must become the architect of your own soul. You must choose your own burdens. For if you do not choose your own cross, the world will nail you to one of its own making. There is no escaping the struggle. There is only the choice of which struggle is worth your life. Is it the struggle to fit in, to be liked, to be a good member of a dying system? Or is it the struggle to be free, to be authentic, and to stand as a witness to the truth? One path leads to a comfortable death. The other leads to a difficult life, but only one of them is an adventure. Only one of them is human. The library doors are heavy and they groan as they open. The air outside is different now. It feels sharper. It smells of the earth and the distant sea. The stars are above you, cold and indifferent, but they are real. They do not care about your opinions, and they do not ask for your consent. They simply are. And as you stand there under the vast canopy of the universe, you realize that you are like them. You are a part of this ancient, silent reality. You are a thinking reed, as Pascal said, the only part of the universe that can reflect upon itself. Do not waste that miracle on the trivialities of the crowd. The dangerous freedom is yours. It was always yours. You only had to stop asking for permission to use it. You will fail sometimes. You will be wrong. You will be lost, but you will be lost on your own terms. And there is a dignity in that which no consensus can ever provide. The path is narrow and the path is steep, but it is the only path that leads out of the cave. Do not look back. The fire in the cave was only a shadow play. The sun is coming up, and for the first time, you are ready to see it. Remember, the goal is not to convince others. The goal is not to win an argument. The goal is to possess your own mind. When you have achieved that, you have achieved the only victory that matters. The world can take your property. It can take your health. It can even take your life. But it cannot take the fact that you knew the truth. It cannot take the fact that you were here and you were awake. That is the secret. That is the power. That is the dangerous freedom. As you walk away into the cool night air, let the realization sink into your bones. You are no longer a part of the herd. You have become the wolf. Not the wolf that hunts, but the wolf that wanders. The one who knows the mountain paths that the sheep will never see. The one who hears the music of the spheres while the others only hear the noise of the pen. It is a lonely life, but it is a life of unparalleled beauty. And as the first light of dawn touches the horizon, you realize that the darkness wasn't your enemy. It was your teacher. It taught you how to see. The script of your life has been written by others for too long. It is time to take the pen. It is time to cross out the lines that were never yours to speak. It is time to write a new story, one that is whispered in the chambers of your own heart. It will be a strange story. It will be a difficult story, but it will be true. And in the end, that is all that any of us can ever hope for. To have lived a life that was actually our own. To have had the courage to think. To have had the strength to be free. The library is silent now. The echoes of these words are fading into the wood and the stone, but they are etched into you. You cannot unhear them. You cannot go back to the way you were. The cage door is open. The wilderness is calling, and you are finally dangerously free. Go, and do not ever look back. The world of shadows is behind you. The world of light is waiting, and you are the only one who can walk the path. Farewell, traveler. May your thoughts be your own, and may your freedom be your strength. The weight you feel now is not the weight of the herd. It is the weight of your own potential. It is the gravity of your own soul. Embrace it. It is the only thing that keeps you grounded in a world of ghosts. Stand tall. Speak low. Think deep. The world is a tragedy for those who feel, and a comedy for those who think. But for those who do both, for those who think for themselves and feel the truth of it, the world is a sacred mystery, and you are the one who has been chosen to solve it. One thought at a time, one truth at a time, one breath at a time. This is the end of our time together tonight, but it is only the beginning of your journey. The library will always be here, in the quiet corners of your mind, waiting for you to return when the noise of the world becomes too much. But for now, you belong out there, in the wind, in the rain, in the sun, in the truth. Go, be dangerous, be free, be you. The shadows are gone, the dawn is here, and the world is yours to understand.